Good evening, ladies and gents. Welcome back to another episode of the Fanzone Podcast. A little way away from our game against Sheffield Wednesday, but we are with you.
Just about.
An interesting episode for you. Episode 26, Wednesday on Friday. Of course, previewing or reviewing, I should say, an interesting game away from home at Sheffield against Sheffield Wednesday. A good game, all things considered, I think. Obviously, Bolton Wanderers managed to pick up a point away from home against a team that are certainly flying high at the minute in League One. I think that their record is something like half a season unbeaten, which is pretty astounding at any level. But a point picked up. Ange, what did you make of the game against Sheffield Wednesday?
I think they did exactly what I asked them to do in the last pod. I wanted to see a reaction after Ipswich is what I wanted to see. I wanted to see them want it. I wanted to see them work really hard. And that second half against Sheffield Wednesday was exactly that. I thought we came out all guns blazing for the first maybe 6 minutes. Then their goal just rattled us a bit and we went a bit to pot and we forgot what we were playing and it were all a bit rubbish. Then I went to the toilet. Missed us scoring a goal, so that's thanks to me. I always miss a goal by going to the toilet early. And then from there, I thought we were absolutely superb. I was really impressed with all of them. Worked really hard for each other. In summary,
fantastic. It's a good point on the board, and at this stage of the season, especially to be picking up points against teams that are certainly flying high. You know, I think the overriding emotion was that actually we were disappointed we didn't come away with all three, which I don't think many people would have said heading into that game, especially after perhaps the run of form and the performances we've strung together over the last few weeks. So it was good, as you said, to see that reaction and some fighting spirit back in the side, which I think we've lacked for a few weeks now. Colin, what did you make of it?
I thought it was a timely reminder of how good of a side we are when it clicks. I think obviously over the last few weeks we've not been at our fluid best, and certainly for about an hour of that game on Friday night, we certainly was that. A little bit disappointed with the lack of cutting edge. I thought we could have used the ball a little bit better in the final third. I thought we would have come away with 3 points if we'd have done that. Because I agree, the overall reaction from that game is we probably should have won it. But like I said, I think it was a timely reminder of how good we are as a team, really. The ability that we had as well to get hold of the game once going behind at such a venue is testament to that. Obviously, we needed a lot of players to have good games in certain areas of the pitch, which I think they did. And I'm sure we'll ask, and talk about who they are later on in the pod. But I got to give a special mention to James Trafford as well, because I thought he made a couple of really critical, you might say, what the word did I write with him for, routine saves, but I wouldn't go as far to say they were. He commanded and demanded his box very well. And he was a kind of catalyst to allow us to push on and get something from that game. Once again, he's just reminding us all of how good of a goalkeeper he is. But overall, pretty happy with the point. It's such a venue. And yeah, as the kids say these days, we move.
We move. And to be honest, yeah, that's what the kids say, I believe, Colin.
Yeah.
To be honest, if we'd have had that penalty decision as well, that I think that would have been a fair result for us to get the 3.
Yeah, I think there's argument for that. I'd agree, but I mean, what I would say is we didn't, despite all our possession and despite all our attacks in the final third, we didn't have. We only think we had 1 shot on goal, and I think all game, which we probably.
It's a continuing worry. It is a continuing worry that we've dropped back down to those. At one point, we'd shot back up to 20-ish, 21 shots on target or whatever, aren't we? And then we have dropped off massively again with the final third.
I just don't think we deserve to win the game. I don't think, because they have more attempts on target. I think it was a fair result, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think we'd have come away with 3. I'd have thought done well there. But yeah, that's just my thoughts anyway. Can't argue with that.
It's absolutely a fair assessment. I think the turning point for me was a few weeks back against Charlton. I think that was the game you're referring to when I think it was up in the 20s for shots or shots on target. And we really, really, played free-flowing attacking football. And then obviously results like Peterborough away, MK Dons, 2 5-0 wins where it looked like we couldn't stop scoring rather than the opposite. And I think perhaps that has slowed down in recent weeks, but I don't think Sheffield Wednesday is ever a place where teams go and pepper the opposition's goal. So I think the real test of that will perhaps be at Wembley against Plymouth, but in that business end of the season, especially those home games, that's where we need to see that cutting edge back in front of goal, as you said, Colin. But you also mentioned a special mention to James Trafford and mentioned that we'll touch on some other players. One player that I did want to look at was Declan John, obviously back in the starting 11. What did you make of his performance, Ange?
Oh, probably out of everyone, he was maybe the weaker link. We didn't send much down that side. I think there's still a bit of, I don't know whether it's mistrust or I don't know what it is. There's just something that doesn't quite click on that side, and everything goes down via Connor, doesn't it? Still, I like the lad. I think when he's on form, he plays really well. But I think he deserved to start. I think not playing him against Ipswich might have bitten us on the bum a bit, but yeah, it was an okay performance from Deck, I thought.
Colin, would you agree with that?
I feel like we're talking about Declan John, whether Declan John's back in the team, Declan John's not back in the team. Why is Declan John not playing? I think it just highlights, doesn't it, that we're a bit short on that left side, aren't we? Really, let's be honest. I think if Jack Ardale was fit, I don't think Declan John will be playing against the likes of Ipswich and Sheffield Wednesday, because you need that, defensive solidity, don't you? And it's not all about the ability to be able to attack. But in some other games, like some kiddos at home and stuff, Declan John probably would be playing. It's a squad game, innit? But we are lacking on that left side because of injuries, aren't we? And in my team last week, I was hoping that George Johnson would have been fit, and I would have probably played him left side of the defence against Sheffield Wednesday, but left wing back or left back or whatever he would be. But yeah, I like Declan John. Like Andrew said, he's good in his own way, and he has his attributes. But hopefully he'll stick around, because I think he's a good fullback to have in waiting.
Absolutely. Whether he will stick around is a question I'm sure we'll touch on at the end of the season. I'm sure game time will be a big one, and with Randell Williams obviously signing for us, as well as Jack Ardale set to come back from injury. I think that summer transfer window will be either make or break for Declan John. But, that's something we can touch on at a later date. Another player that came back into the side was Josh Sheehan, obviously in place of Morley this time round. I think Morley had ran his socks off for the last few weeks and probably deserved that little bit of rest that he got. But Sheehan all the same came in, and I thought he did a very good job. He picked up that number 8 role really well, coming deep. And I think his best attribute is playing us or helping us play out of a really high press, something that we missed big time against Ipswich. They were just absolutely relentless. But yeah, Sheehan came in and was really, really good in that 8 role. Colin, what did you make of his performance?
That was, in my opinion, and I know there's always a bit of recency bias, and I was trying to think about back his previous games. I think he played well Wimbledon away last season, and maybe one or two others. But I think that was his best performance in a Bolton shirt that on Friday night. I thought it was absolutely critical to our performance. He nullified as best he could Barry Bannon's ability to be able to pick up them loose balls and find them sharp passes in behind and whipped kind of crosses that Bannon likes to play. And yeah, Sheehan's a very tidy little footballer, and when he plays in that manner, it just reminds you of how good of a footballer he is and how much we probably have missed him as well, like over the last few months whilst he's had that cruciate knee ligament injury. Really good to see him back, and hopefully he can keep his spot moving forward. It's a difficult one because Aaron Morley is a very good footballer, but I think the way Sheffield Wednesday play, I think Morley would have struggled in that midfield, whether he was tired or not, whether he'd been a rest or not. And I think, Sheehan was just a perfect man for the job, and you got to give credit to Ian Abbott for obviously recognising that.
Absolutely, I think that's a really good point. And perhaps Morley would have actually struggled in that role. I don't think Morley's ability to play out of a press and that technicality on the ball, that low centre of gravity, is quite there as much as it is in Sheehan. So it was absolutely the right call to bring Sheehan in, and he certainly lived up to the expectation. And would you agree with what Colin said there?
Yeah, it's definitely a horses for courses situation where he knows what kind of ball they play, and he played the player to play the best against Barry Bannon, and bloody hell, he's some player to play against. And the speed of his little legs flying across that pitch at some times, I'm like, Christ, he's knocking on as well. He's not a spring chicken, is he, Barry? But yeah, I just think he's a beautiful footballer, Josh. And when the team sheet came out, I was concerned about having Kieran and Josh in that midfield because they're not physical players, and they've got some big boys of Sheffield Wednesday. So I was a little bit concerned, but no, absolutely proved me wrong. And he was my reserve. Runner-up man of the match was Josh from Friday. I enjoyed watching him. I only shouted Joshua once, and that's how I gauge how many times I shout someone by the first full name.
No, I think he was really, really good in that deep lying role, and it's something we've missed big time. Having that technicality on the ball and that ability to bring us out of a high press. I think against Derby, especially, it comes to mind as a game that he could have probably impacted, if he played to that standard.
I think, sorry, Ben, with Josh Sheehan, I think he likes to play them short, intricate passes, doesn't he, and trying to build through the midfield, and utilising the players around him as well to kind of get on the ball, 1-2s and the like. And obviously with Morley, he much prefers a little bit more time on the ball, obviously, and be able to play them, detailed, longer passes, if you want to call it that. So it was just absolutely the right move to play Sheehan over Morley on Friday.
I think sometimes that's why it doesn't work with Josh, though, because that's how he likes to play, and players they don't play together regularly enough to read his little 1-2s. And I think sometimes that's why I'm like, Joshua, because he just seems to give it away. But I know what he's trying to do. It doesn't always pull off, but I thought on Friday he played it really well, and it pulled off.
Barnsley 1-0 up, by the way.
Barnsley 1-0 up. We're gonna have live updates by.
Yeah, a few live updates. For people listening to this on Spotify or Apple, it's not really worth a character here. But if you're watching it live, Barnsley 1-0 up.
We do think, but I think Barnsley are going to have him. But to be fair, but we'll see.
It wouldn't surprise me. I do think with Sheehan, it's a real case of needing the players to be around him. He's a fantastic footballer, but he can't do it in a team on his own. He needs specific players around him. He needs that strong, nasty midfielder to do the dirty work that perhaps he doesn't get involved with as much, and he needs that pairing to bring out the best in him.
2-0, Malk's just said.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't want to interrupt Ben because
come on, Colin.
It is a Bolton podcast, and Ben was obviously talking about Wanderers and not Barnsley. But yeah.
So Barnsley are running away with it. But yeah, in terms of Sheehan, it's just really good to see him back firing on all cylinders again. Really, really good to see. Definitely. Another player that I thought did well was Victor, obviously scoring the goal to get us back in the game, and nothing much more after that. I thought his hold-up play was fantastic again, something we saw in previous games. I thought his ability to hold off his man and bring other people into play was absolutely fantastic, and something that we've really, really lacked with having either Shortire up front. It's just that physical edge that we've just not had.
You're right there. You got a question?
Yeah. I've got a point to make. I've got a point to make. I didn't want to interrupt Ben because he sounded like he were on the floor. I thought that Victor Adebayo got the goal he deserved against Ipswich against Sheffield Wednesday because he played exactly the same way against Ipswich, but didn't get the rub of the green. And against Sheffield Wednesday, he got the goal that his recent players deserved. Hence why I think we all give him man of the match, didn't we, on the last game?
Match,
Yeah, because he's playing with, he's getting used to playing with the team in it as well. Do you get what I mean? It's not something that can happen straight away, especially as a striker. They need time to bed in, don't they? They need time to work out relationships. They need time to grow within the team. And I think he's finding that it's just imperative that he stays fit. And I think he even went off with a bit of a niggle, didn't he, the other day?
I was just about to say, his mentality is slowly fitting into the team and coming up to speed, but unfortunately his body's still picking up bruises and knocks, which is to be expected, coming from I don't want to say a lazy Burton side, but a Burton side that would not be running around at half as much as what Bolton do. You look at perhaps the likes of Dion Charles and the work rate that's been asked of him week in, week out. To come from Burton to perhaps a much more intense style is bound to take its toll on your body. But he's on the score sheet again. I think that took him to 15 for the season. Is there more to come from Victor? What can we expect from him, Colin? What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think he's proven himself at this level to be a goal scorer, hasn't he? Ironically, I think he's played for Barnsley as well in Championship. So, I think he certainly knows where the net is. And he'll only grow with confidence playing for us because I think as a forward, we create chances. And that's been like our downfall. Certainly the first part of the season, you might say that Dion was missing too many chances or whatever he was doing wrong. But yeah, I think the fact that we've gone to two up front and two proper forwards as well, that can only be a benefit to him long term. And hopefully if we invest in, other areas of the pitch, not necessarily the forward line, and bring in better players in the summer. Again, that'll back Dion and Victor up for getting even more goals next season. Although if we're in the Championship, probably not as many, but I can still see them scoring at that level, to be honest.
Absolutely. I think investing in other areas of the pitch is a really good point. Most specifically, the grass would probably be a good start. But
there's definite grass investment going on.
We've had some comments that I'm just going to quickly pull through. Good to see you all engaging with us. We really do appreciate it. If you are watching at home live, just share your thoughts as we go along. We will pick them out.
Let us know if you knew as well.
I think Bolton Latin America are on.
They are indeed.
Boys.
They are indeed. 8 days until they travel to Bolton all the way from Argentina.
What time even is it in Argentina?
Oh yeah, let us know. What time is it over in South America, in Argentina? Let us know.
You have to be specific to not just to South America. You have to be specific to
not just the whole of South America.
Yeah.
Wherever you are.
All different times. It's all different times.
But Chris has said Vic dragging us to victory against Port Vale doesn't get mentioned enough, which is absolutely a good point. I think his performances have gone unnoticed quite a lot of the time. I think people have been quick to sort of criticise him and talk about what he's not doing rather than actually what he brings to the team.
Of course,
I think he's almost nullified the absence of John Daddy, which was a massive, massive task coming into the January window, and something that wasn't going to be an easy fix. But he seems to have done that.
It just needs a run, Ben. He just needs
Absolutely.
a run. He needs to stay fit now, and obviously he needs to carry on scoring the odd goal. I think he'll offer more than just goals as well, because obviously he's gonna help bring people into play, and he's gonna do some of the dirty work that you expect from your centre forward. But he just needs to run a games.
He needs to run a game, but he needs a pre-season with us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Next season he'll be. I absolutely think he'll be like a different player to the one we're seeing currently. And I can't knock him, like same as Colin. I think his hold-up play is ridiculous. He's such a talented footballer, and just that little bit of time, people, just give him a bit of time to gel with the group and to get him physically up to where he should be. And I've got no qualms at all that he'll be a top man for us.
So yes, there's more to come, Ben. I think according to me and
Yeah,
Ange.
definitely. We know.
Absolutely. Yeah. I absolutely agree. I think it's exciting, actually, the prospect of having him and Charles up front. It's exciting to see where that partnership will grow and develop. And, you're possibly looking at 40, 50 goals between two strikers in a season, which is something that I don't think we've had for quite a while. I mean, Josh McGuinness and his counterpart didn't quite cut the mustard. I think they struggled for 5 goals, never mind 50.
What was the question, Ben? How long's it been since we had how many goals in
40 or 50 goals between two strikers? When was the last time we actually had a good strike partnership?
You're probably going to be looking at, well, Michael Ricketts got 20, didn't he? Would possibly Michael Ricketts and Dean Holsworth, early noughties, possibly. I don't know. People who are sat at home on the laptops.
Get on Google, peeps.
Yeah, find some
That'd
research.
be my guess, anyway.
But yeah, Bolton Latino America, it's good to have you with us as always. They put a comment on that some of you might have seen. It says,
can you share that one, Ben? Because that's a pretty good one, that. Because I was thinking the same thing the other day, actually. If you're going to read the same thing out that I think you're going to read.
I wasn't, but I will do after. They said, hope to have some time in our trip and can be on your podcast, which is absolutely something that we're looking to get done. It is well on the way. Negotiations are taking place, and we're hoping to get you on. So that's something for you all to look forward to if you are listening along with us.
We can pay you with pints of lager or pints of beer when you get to the UK.
Or cider, whatever you typical name.
Whatever you're into. Or Bolton Gin, if you want that again.
Don't forget about Bolton Gin. But the comment that you're referring to Colin, was, we will miss JDB at Wembley. I hope Dion doesn't feel alone at the attack. Maybe Catcher can have a great game, which is a good point. I think his presence will be sorely missed at Wembley. Perhaps it can be filled by either Catcher or Cameron Jerome. I'm sure we'll have to wait and see.
I reckon it'll be a combination of the two, to be honest, but we'll see.
We will see indeed.
Do you think he'll go 2 up front at Wembley? Do you think he'll try stretching it and using the pitch more and getting more players out wide and using Dion up top as a 1? And because I think that might be on the cards, if you ask me, because the size of that pitch and the way we play, that could be massively beneficial to us.
I think that was a similar-ish way to how we played at Derby. I think Dion was very central, and Unlundlu had a tendency to drift off to either one of the wings and really look to find space behind their fullbacks on the outside of their centre half. So it's very much an option. It'd be interesting to see how we like.
It wouldn't surprise me, but given the comment that the lads have just made about the fact that we've not got Bodvarsson and can Catcher and or Cameron Jerome play a full 90, it wouldn't surprise me if they weren't 1 up top.
It will be interesting to see indeed. And obviously Wembley is absolutely on the horizon. It is not long now. Which makes Sheffield Wednesday and that result even more important. It was a crucial result to pick up heading into what is now very much the business end of the season. It very much feels like that even when you aren't playing them, and there's games going on for teams that you don't support, you're keeping an eye on it because you know just how much it can mean for your position in the league table. So yeah, heading into a cup final and that business end of the season, that 1 point at Sheffield Wednesday is very much something to be excited about and happy with. And the performance especially was definitely reassuring.
Well, it just means you can go into that game now as a player confident, because as much as you think you try and say to yourself, "Oh, we need to be confident, we need to believe in ourselves," you need some results and you need passages of play and you need goals for that to be the case. I think we scored at the right time on Friday as well, which helps because obviously it allowed us then time to grow into the game and breed confidence as well. It was just an overall cracking result, really, and one that means not only the players but us as fans we can look forward to. Because obviously, if we'd have lost or we'd have got a job in it, that would have obviously been pretty grim, having to wait 2 weeks to go to Wembley on the back of that.
It would have indeed. Really, really, really good point.
I didn't know that Chris spoke Spanish.
I think that might be
translated that.
What is it? Oh, right.
I think Chris is fluent in Google Translate rather
Yeah.
than
So I thought it was Spanish.
I will apologise. Yeah, apologise as well. I am very Bolton, so I know the boys are struggling a little bit with accents.
Oh yeah. They've just said they have to play some of the BWFC videos in 0.5 speed to catch what they're saying. And
we
we'll
need
just
subtitles.
we'll just have to get Ange like on a translator. We'll have to have someone for you. Well, we'll get Chris. Chris, can you translate for Ange? But yeah, looking ahead to Plymouth, I think now we're all going to be excited, but now we can be that little bit more excited and confident that actually we're capable of going there, putting on a performance, and absolutely getting a result, which is what we're all hoping for, of course. But something I wanted to touch on, which is a little swing off and slightly unrelated to what we're talking about, something that I've seen on Twitter quite a lot. Well, I say quite a lot. That's because it's been in my mentions non-stop. I had an opinion this weekend.
You had an opinion, Benjamin? How dare you?
I did. It's safe to say not many people agreed with it, let me tell you.
Is that why we've got less people watching tonight than we do normally?
It must be. Everyone's gone, I'm not fucking listening to him anymore. But talking about Dapo's departure, obviously he left in the January transfer window to join German League St. Pauli, who are now flying, by the way. I don't think
all because of Dapo,
All because of Dapo. Like, oh, of course, yeah. He's 2 goals or 3 goals in 7 games and 1 assist. That's the reason they're now, challenging to go up. But anyway, Dapo's departure obviously left for St. Pauli for a fee of what is believed to be around the £500,000 mark. I'm not quite sure if we've had that confirmed yet or what, but he left all the same. So my question for you both is, who in our current squad, any of the players, be it loans, our players or whatever, out of those in our current squad, who offers more value to our team? I will give you a few seconds to think about it, and I'll tell you the players that I've picked out that I think currently offer more value to the team than Dapo did whilst he was here. So on my list, I have James Trafford in at number 1 as our number 1. I have Connor Bradley. I have Rico Santos. I have George Johnston. And I'm leaning towards both Kyle Dempsey and Dion Charles. So I'm going to pass the baton. Colin, who do you think? And if you're watching at home, all of you get involved.
Stick it in your comments, yeah.
Yeah, I'm keen.
I mean, you asked for 3 players. You seem to need to name half the team then, Ben.
Yeah, because half the team brings more value. Sorry, I'm going to hijack. I absolutely agree with you.
Any amount of players. Whoever you think in our current team is better, any of them. But yeah, if you are watching at home, do pop your comments in as well.
Yeah, pretty easy, really, that. Ricardo Santos. Captain, leader, legends. Not Will Aimson, by the way.
I would have said Will if he was still with us.
George Johnson. And that's been apparent over the last few weeks how much we've missed him. And Dion Charles, because he shits goals, and that's what you need to do to win games. And that's something that Dapo offline didn't do.
Okay.
That's it's a simple thing for me, that. Ricardo Santos is immense every single game. Every single team we play, the opposition fans say we wish we had him in our team, so that says it all. George Johnson's been absolutely epic this season, probably my player of the season. He's come on leaps and bounds, and he's valued not only to the team but financially to the club. He's probably our gem, I guess, and our golden nugget, if you want to call it that. And like I said, Dion Charles scores enough goals to put you at the top end of the league. And not only Dion Charles, that he offers obviously off the ball, his press, all the rest of it. So it's 3 for me. It's them 3. I could probably name plenty of others, but I don't want to bore people with it. Dapo was a fantastic player for us. But let's be honest, let's remember that before he left, he wasn't impacting games. He won us 2 games away at Fleetwood. Remind me of the other one. Accrington. But other than that, there was only little shining lights in a pretty poor first half of the season. And also remember that Dapo, and we don't know for definite, but we've heard on pretty good recommendations, if you want to say that. He actually wanted to go as well. So you don't want to keep a player.
I'm pretty sure Ian said that himself. It was a mutual.
Well, there you are then. So you get it right from the horse's mouth. So you don't want to keep a player. Why should the club keep a player that don't want to play for us anymore? He wants to prove himself abroad. Fair play to the lad. You could probably go up and down League One from top to bottom, and you wouldn't have any player that's got the opportunity to play abroad at a pretty decent standard, which Bundesliga 2 is. It's not quite nowhere near the Championship, but it's still a pretty good level. So yeah, credit to him for moving. Credit to the club for selling. Move on. That's my take on it all. You'll forget about him in 3 years.
I don't understand this. I'm not one to pine for the past. I'm not. Players come and go for different reasons, and he's playing somewhere that suits him. He fits.
He's happy.
We were shoehorning him into God knows what positions we were trying to fit him in just to get him some game time, probably to try and keep him happy, and it just wasn't working. No mistake in that he's a very talented footballer, but when he's playing where he should play and for a team he should play for, and for me, like I've said, I could go with any of your players you mentioned, then I probably would say Traff, Dion and George Johnson, the three that I would say bring much more team value.
See, it's interesting because a lot of the people in the comments tend to agree with what we said. Chris Dawson has said Santos, Jono, Dempsey, Morley and Dion, which is very similar to what we all said. Matthew has said Trafford, Dempsey, Lee, Santos and Charles. An interesting one there with Lee, but a good one. I don't think I'd argue with that.
That experience is invaluable. Some of those matches, especially when he's coaching some of the younger players through games, and
absolutely,
Louise,
absolutely doesn't go amiss. Louise has actually said Trafford, Dempsey, Lee, Charles, Santos, and Bradley.
I wasn't listening to that. I like what you said about Cloughie.
Bring that Clough back, Gary Medine.
Oh, as always.
Finn's just put him in his fantasy. Finn's just put him in his FIFA.
He plays crucial knee ligament, hasn't he?
Has he really? Wow. But Chris also said Lloyd Isgrove. Obviously. Couldn't miss him out. But it's interesting because a lot of people seem to agree with what I've said, both between you two here on the pod and in the comments. But over on Twitter, safe to say, opinion wasn't the same, and I was called all sorts of names.
Sticks and stones. Sticks and
Belen
stones
being a common one.
Nice.
But as Colin referred
I should have laughed, Ben. I should have laughed.
As Colin referred to before, we move. That's what we're gonna.
That's what the kids say.
On that one. But looking ahead. Plymouth is up next. Our trip to Wembley. Wow. It seems like yesterday.
Sick of bloody hearing about it, mate. Tell you. Can't wait for it to be over. I'm being serious. It's doing me head in.
If you all check your email, check your spam and your junk, it might be in there. If you're on official travel, they're starting to go at 5 o'clock. You need to be there till 5. It's like right.
Honestly, I reckon that ticket office, they must bang you ready.
I would be literally losing my mind in that ticket office.
I will come work there for a gold pig, mate. Oh no! Listen, the day is magic. We're all going to Wembley. Fantastic. But let's just not let it derail from the important stuff, which is getting out of this league. Let's just enjoy it, but stop going on about it. People's tweeting when they're getting tickets in their inbox. You know what I mean? I don't understand what's going on here. Am I getting old or whatever? I don't know what it is.
Yeah, you are.
Must be old.
Not as old as me though, so I can say it.
Anyway, I've had a rant. 2-1 Barnsley. Sheffield Wednesday scored apparently.
Ooh.
Chris has just asked how many sold for Wembley, which I think if I see one more on my timeline, I think I might mute the word Wembley. Just, yeah.
I mean, Facebook's worse than Twitter. That Facebook page is
Well, I left
awful.
Facebook 15 years ago.
I can't
I can't be doing with the Facebook either. There's some, God. I think if I'd have put my tweet out on Facebook, I'd have been called even worse than what I was.
I don't think you could get much worse than, to be honest.
But our trip to Wembley is up next. And for those of you who are listening and heading to Wembley, good news for you. We will be doing a guide to Wembley podcast.
Reluctantly, from my point of view. Man,
Shut up!
I'm all joking.
If I seem to remember correctly, this might have actually been your
idea.
Yeah. So if it's crap, then you can blame me. It was my idea.
But yes, we will be doing a preview, obviously of the Plymouth game in essence, but also a guide to Wembley. So if you have any idea as to what you might want from that podcast, whether it's, best pubs to stay at, best places to stay, if you haven't got that sorted already, if you're looking for places to eat, train routes, whatever it might be, whatever your questions are, you can send them in to us over on our socials. So you can DM us on Twitter, which is at the Fanzone Pod, or send them into our email, which is thefanzonepod@gmail.com. And if you send them over to either of those, then we'll make sure to include them in the podcast, and we'll address everything that you've got going on. Everything you ask, we'll try and get out in our guide to Wembley. But yeah, that will be some point next week. Details will be confirmed over on our Twitter, which is, of course, at the Fanzone Pod. So stay tuned on that front, and you'll hear from us pretty shortly.
Just to respond to Anne, there's no disrespect to the page. It's the questions that are getting posted on there 1,000 times a day. If I was admin on that group, I would literally be shoving my head in the oven or something. It's too much.
Indeed, it's a special place full of
just people.
Yeah, just people.
His, hers, hims, she's,
theys,
and everything else in between.
Fisher, thems, whatever. Anyway, we do digress. So yeah, our guide to Wembley will be with you all shortly. As I said, if you've got anything to ask or query, then send it in, and we'll answer those for you. But in terms of our actual trip to Wembley, besides how many tickets we've sold, what are you expecting from our game against Plymouth, Colin? What are your feelings, apart from frustration that everyone keeps banging on about it, of course? But what are you feeling?
We've had a tough 10 years, haven't we? I get it, to be fair. What am I expecting? I'm expecting a tough game. I'm expecting a tight game, like the two games have been this season with Plymouth. And I'm expecting a goal. I reckon it might go all the way, to be honest. I think we might be in for a 90 minutes plus extra time plus penalties job. But I think it'll be a good day. Obviously, it's an unbelievable venue, and it's a great place to watch football, and it's just a bonus game, isn't it, really? Whatever will be, as the song goes. I don't really know what to expect. It's a final, Ben, isn't it? It's a cup final, whether it's the League Cup, FA Cup, Champions League, EFL Trophy, whatever competition it is, a cup final, and, anything can happen on the day, can't it? Their lads might get to Wembley and freeze. We've got more experience in our dressing room, I think, than Plymouth. I think the likes of Kieran Lee have been there and played there. Even the likes of Lloyd Isgrove's been there and played there in playoff finals and stuff. And you've got Cameron Jerome, who's got a t-shirt. All these bits of things help massively towards, that big day. Everett's played there himself. Jilksy has as well. You can go on forever with it, and I think that's a big benefit going into a big game.
Did you see all the did you see the stuff they're doing? So they're doing the dressing room the same as one dressing room, and they're going to train at, was it Brentford? They're going to train on the Friday, and then
Thomas Frank in it.
And then they go in to look round on Saturday. So I think because of Ian's love of the psychology of the game, he's absolutely going to get those boys as prepared as he can. And I'm pretty much like Colin on the expect the unexpected. Just go and have a good time, and fingers crossed, we'll win it. I'm not. Yeah. I don't think it's anyone's. It's anyone's.
There isn't really a way of answering that question. What do you expect? Because you can't really expect anything from that. It's just you go and enjoy the day, and if you win, you win. If you don't, you don't. You know what I mean? If it were an FA Cup final and we lost, I'd be a little bit more gutted, to be honest. If we went to lose the EFL trophy, relaxing it doesn't matter. So I think there's more pressure on Plymouth because I think it's a bigger game for them as a club, to be honest. As silly as that might sound, because I think it's only the third time they've been to Wembley. I think we can go a little bit more relaxed about the situation. I might be wrong. I don't know. Maybe I'm just looking at that in the slightly white rose Dempsey glasses.
No, absolutely. I think what you're saying is more than fair. I think for us especially, it's a really good experience and learning curve for some of the younger lads, if absolutely nothing else. So for the players that we've got, like perhaps George Johnston, Aaron Morley, some of the more younger boys in that side, George Thomason, another, to have those players out at Wembley and involved in that matchday squad, albeit for a cup final that many people would deem as a Mickey Mouse Cup or whatever you want to refer it to as, is an invaluable experience that you just they don't come by, very easily in football. They're not to be taken for granted, and that could come in massive help when those same boys might be playing in a playoff final at Wembley either this season or next season.
I think Manchester City's and Liverpool's hierarchy won't be complaining about it. Put it that way. If you look back at that competition, as much of as a Mickey Mouse tournament, it might be perceived as, a lot of the top players in England have started at that level. Harry Kane's and James Maddison's and all these players who are in the England squad as we speak have played in this competition at its early stages. So it's an important competition, really, for young players. Although I've got to remind everybody that Conor Bradley played at San Siro last season, so I think he's probably used to big games and he's a full international as well. So maybe he doesn't count, but I think Trafford will be buzzing.
I mean, Trafford's in the under-21s though, isn't it? We've got like 5 internationals or something in that squad now. It's not that they're not used to the big stage. It's a trophy. We want to win it.
Yeah.
We don't go into these things not wanting to win them. So I don't care what it is. I don't care if we get given a bloody gold chocolate coin. It's the prestige of winning something. I like to win.
Absolutely. That's another really, really good point. I think it's been one hell of a long time since we've had any silverware in our name. And so the chance to almost, I think another point as well is for them to put their marker on Bolton Wanderers history as perhaps a turning tide in the club's fortunes. I think Everett was keen to mention that when we played our 5,000th game, was it? He explained to the players that this was their opportunity to put their stamp on our history, that they can then look back on with fond memories when they're playing for England or retired as a club legend at clubs like City, Liverpool, or wherever they might end up. And I think that's mainly present, obviously, for the younger lads like Trafford and Conor Bradley, but the same can be said for the more experienced players like Cameron Jerome and Kieran Lee that are perhaps coming to the business end of their career and are looking to, end on a high, so to speak.
Yeah, good point. That we've got a good balance, haven't we? When you look at it,
we have.
Look at the squad. We've got a good balance. I just hope this is not our first trip to Wembley this season, personally.
No, I mean, I quite like it.
Does, but
yeah, well, there is that, but you just cross that bridge.
You just suck it up, don't you?
You just cross that bridge in a few months when the bills are dropping through the door.
But yes, Plymouth, it will be one hell of a game, one hell of an occasion, and we can't wait to be there with you.
How are they getting on? Actually, we want Aki to do him, don't we?
They're winning 1-0 at half time.
Yeah, Plymouth are winning 1-0. They're 1-0 up, and Barnsley are still 2-1 up coming into the close of that first half.
They're a dirty team, aren't they, Accrington? They've had three bookings already. It's only half time.
That's Trafford's fault.
Yeah, it's looking like a relatively balanced affair, really, in terms of the way the game. They could end up in a draw, that.
Well, fingers crossed Accrington can pull some magic out of the bag and spoil Plymouth's parade, which will be right in our favour for our trip to Wembley.
Who do we want in the playoffs, by the way?
If we end up completely honest, nobody.
Yeah, well, we are going to get somebody, aren't we? Who would we want to face in the semi-final of the playoffs?
I'll be honest, probably if Ipswich should head into the top 2, which I think they might do, I think out of all the teams currently in the top 6, Plymouth would be my go-to. I just found our ability to perhaps, well, I mean, we're not just going to play Plymouth. If we beat Plymouth, there's going to be someone else. But out of all the teams in the top 6, I favour us more to get a win against Plymouth than anyone else. Perhaps Derby, but
I'd want us to play Derby at Wembley, me.
Really?
I would.
A lot of the Wednesday fans were saying they wouldn't fancy themselves against us over 2 legs. After seeing,
and that's a really good point, because if you'd have put, if you'd have asked Ipswich fans if they fancied us in the playoffs, they'd have gone, absolutely, let's sign it now. The same with, but then again, after we played Barnsley, they probably
Barnsley are on fire though at the minute.
League One is a weird old league, isn't it?
It's such a
it's just that top 6, isn't it? It's in a league of its own, isn't it? Really.
Indeed, it is.
But it's anyone's on the day, isn't it? It's like we said, well, like I said previously about playoffs. It's like it all starts again. It's like a little tournament. It's a little cup, and you forget what's been, and you just go for it. I think it's crossed.
There's obviously a lot of our current fan base, not a lot, but quite a few, they've never experienced playoff game before, have they? It's a whole another animal, that can assure you.
That's not that those playoff games are
not enjoyable.
The cup finals are a pleasure compared to playoff.
You'll notice, if we are lucky enough to go twice this season, you'll notice the difference between the EFL trophy and the playoff final.
High stakes and high pressure, indeed, and we'll get our first taste of that at Wembley against Plymouth, which we will be joining you for. I know I, for one, can't wait. And perhaps, we might be able to meet some of you all down there. Maybe we'll get a Fanzone Pod pub, a designated pub for us all.
I see Lou had mentioned before about doing a live, but bloody Plymouth have got like Box Park and all the good places, haven't they? So...
Yeah, it was in the pipeline. It was something that we thought about. The logistics of it are a little bit tricky, though.
We don't really have the equipment, guys. That's the main problem. We were being completely transparent with you. We rely upon our personal equipment to do.
None of the gear. I have no idea.
Yeah, none of the gear and very much limited idea.
Yeah, absolutely. If we can make it happen, we will, of course, do our very best. But it's going to be a tough one to make that happen. But if we can all get in a pub somewhere, I'm sure we can have a maybe we can do a live Fanzone Pod, like an actual in real life Fanzone Pod. Who knows?
I think we'd all be up for it. I think it kind of goes without saying, but it's the logistics of it would. Plus, like, none of us can really understand what each other are saying when we're sober. So God knows what it'll be like when we're after a few scoops.
I never remember the question sober. So
yeah, you might be better off pissed out of Jan.
We need Chris on hand as translator to just stand beside you when you've had a few.
Well, Chris doesn't drink, so Chris would be perfect, wouldn't he? To step in and just like
keep proceedings going.
Yeah, if they went tits up.
Absolutely. Well, we will join you all at Wembley. One way or another, we will be with you. We will find that out and we'll let you know. But upcoming first is, of course, that guide to Wembley. So if you are interested in that, send in your questions and your thoughts, your tips and tricks for Wembley. Send them in to us either via Twitter, which is at the Fanzone Pod, or on our email, which is at thefanzonepod@gmail.com. Also, before we go, we've also got, of course, Spotify and Apple Podcasts up and running. We are on Spotify. If you didn't know already, I don't know where you've been for the last 10 episodes, but
they've been watching it on live on YouTube.
We are on Apple Podcasts and we are now on Spotify. So if you want to catch up on any episodes, or perhaps you can't make one of the live ones, then they are all there at the click of a button. The Bolton Gin Company are also still ever present. If you fancy getting your hands on some gin, you can do exactly that over at theboltongincompany.co.uk.
I've got an idea. Wembley Mines. If you're traveling into Wembley on the non-official clubs travel, because you can't drink on them. So if you're not going on them, then you can get yourself some gin for the trip.
They're very sophisticated.
Yeah, it's very good gin to have.
You can get yourself a bottle of gin, and then by 3 o'clock, you won't be seeing the game. You'll be asleep. There'll be no nerves where you are.
Benjamin, are we doing a man of the match?
Ben's forgot.
Ben's forgot. It's that time again, folks. It's Fanzone Man of the Match.
It's the forgotten Fanzone Man of the Match. In Ben's defence, it has been a good few days, and it's since Sheffield Wednesday. So you got.
I'm surprised.
It's been a good few days since we've done a podcast. Honestly, I'm right.
Not me. I was on Gabe's podcast last week, so I've been podcasting away in the background, me without you. You know.
I will get Colin. Hobnobbing with shrimps and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to give my Fanzone Man of the Match award to Mr. Josh Sheehan. I think his performance was up there with one of his best so far for us. His technicality was astounding as always, and for me, he just about nicks it. Colin?
He's centre half. He plays for Exeter, and he goes by the name of Will. No, I'm joking. My man of the match is Ricardo Santos, Will Aimson's replacement. He was an absolute colossal, and I think he dominated that box both aerially and on the floor against a very, very physical team, and it just once again highlighted to all of us how very, very, very good of a centre half that lad is. Man of the match, very, very, very closely followed by Josh Sheehan, because I thought he was epic.
Ange, have you've got the deciding vote?
Yeah, so obviously I already said earlier that Josh Sheehan got my runner-up for man of the match. So my man of the match goes to B-Tech, Will Aimson, Ricardo Santos.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm
going to keep.
No, he had a stormer. He didn't put a foot wrong. He played. It was a colossal man mountain at the back.
Well, Matthew Rushton has said he would give his man of the match award to Sheehan, so we're going to give it to Josh Sheehan because that man is so underappreciated. It is beyond true.
He's not underappreciated. I appreciate him massively. I think he's a great footballer. Yeah, I think obviously he's just finding his feet a little bit, isn't he, after such a terrible injury.
Fingers crossed and he said in his interview, sometimes it just suddenly clicks.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed that switch is clicked or flicked or whatever, and that's the first of many magnificent man of the match-esque performances for Josh.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Absolutely.
It's probably worth just going back to Lou's comment about the prize. We did have a winner. Did you announce that, didn't you, Ben, that we had a...
We did, yes. I think that's in reference to the match day giveaway that we do, which is on a rollover. So that was given to Josh Gilmore. He won it at, I think, £40.
Was it Markham?
Say again?
Was it the Markham match?
It was, and he predicted 0-0, which is a bit of a boring way to win 40 quid, but, he got it right. Fair play to him. And I think the prize pot, as of Are we doing one for Plymouth? I don't know. I think it was league games only. So the
Yeah,
prize
leagues
pot
only.
for our next league game will stand at £15. So you can get your hands on some nice free money. No catch, no strings attached, free money. Before we wrap things up, I just want to touch on Chris's comment. He said, you missed half the game, Ange. That means your vote is null and void.
I missed 5 minutes when I went to the toilet.
And that 5 minutes, Josh Sheehan ran his socks off. So
I'm not knocking the lad.
I was
one Joshua. That was it.
I was well and truly sat on the fence as well when it came to Sheehan and Rico. But I went for Rico just because of who we were playing against. Like it was immense.
Indeed. But I think that just about rounds off today's episode.
Can we like the video? Like the live stream?
Do it now. Whilst we've all got you, press the like button.
Because
if you're listening on Spotify,
I couldn't see one like, and it was me. I've just clicked it then. So it'd be nice if people could.
I've not signed in.
Not good enough. If you're listening on Spotify, follow us, leave a rating on the show. Tell your friends about us. Turn on the notification bell so you'll be notified when we upload.
Even if you don't like us, tell them anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Just say a bell end as a podcast. That's good enough. Just tell everyone.
The Bellzone podcast.
But yes, if you are watching, whatever you're watching on, just give us a like. Go and follow our socials. It's really appreciated. I think the last time I checked, we were actually 1 follower away from 600 followers. But now 2, so someone doesn't like us.
That's you, Carl. That's you and your bell end ways.
Me?
No, Benjamin.
Ben, all right, yeah.
Do apologise. On that note, we will round things off. Thank you very much for watching. We do appreciate it. And we will catch you in the next one on our way to Wembley.
See
you later.